guys, it's Fat Petrolhead here, and today we have Toyota Land Cruiser Prado of 150 generation. This car was discontinued last year, and I believe now it's the right time to test it. This model is in production for 14 years, and that's a great life cycle of a car in modern world. Because, for example, even the previous generation was in production only for 7 years, and this car starting from 2009 till 2023. So this car is 2015 model, basic trim. It has a 2.7-liter petrol engine, no air suspension, automatic transmission, and almost no options. Yes, it is slow. However, today we will have an opportunity to test it and to check whether this lack of power would be a big and serious problem. What do we have in this car talking about comfort? To be honest, almost nothing. I mean, several buttons on the steering wheel, also manual AC and small multimedia screen. And that's almost everything. Everything you would see or touch in this car seems quite cheap. I mean, not only this cheap plastic, but I'm talking about the whole impression about the car interior. Where have you seen such monochrome display on a 2015 and quite expensive car? But to be honest, I don't think that you really need more options in Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, because it is the most utilitarian vehicle among all modern off-roaders. I don't see any reason to buy this car if you live in the city and don't go to expeditions every weekend. But if you are going on the road trip and you don't know what to expect under the next corner, and for sure it wouldn't be a highway, then I believe that Toyota Land Cruiser is an ideal car. But talking about this interior, in case how practical it is, there is no question to this car. I mean, this front seat is regulated for me and I'm quite a big guy. And you have plenty of space also on the second row for any normal person. And also you have here a very big trunk with two options to open it. You can do it fully, and there is plenty of space, and also two more seats if you need them. And if you are on a tight parking place, then you can open just the window. But I still cannot be okay with the quality of materials that you touch. They are really cheap. I mean, just look at this door handle. It is, I don't know, seems like it costs less than $1. Driving this car on road is much easier compared to the previous model of Land Cruiser Prado, which I have in my family since it was new. And this car that I'm driving now is harder in case of the suspension, but you are not stressed driving the road, and even on mountain roads with a lot of corners, you almost enjoy driving it. However, for this feel of good handling, you pay not only with comfort, but with this feeling that you had in older car. The thing is that in older Land Cruiser, you shouldn't choose a road, you should choose only direction. And that is a unique feeling that you didn't have in any other model of car. And there is no bad influence in that on the off-road abilities of this Land Cruiser Prado 150, but it just makes this car a bit standard compared to the older model. So what can I say about this engine? 2.7 petrol engine with automatic transmission for speed. So it is completely not enough for this type of car, because it's of course heavy. It's very slow and you have a strange feeling. I mean, it's going well on the highway and even on the mountain roads in case of handling. However, you have this lack of power. So here we have a little uphill, and that's a kick down. Nothing happens. It seems that it goes a bit slower than before. from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour or from 0 to 60 miles per hour, it accelerates in 14 seconds. And of course, for off-roader, you want something more. But maybe it's a bit about my experience, because the last two off-roaders that I had a V8 engine, and of course you had a lot of power there. But I would say that if you want to buy this car, so you have basically two options. First of all, you have a 2.8 diesel engine, which is quite okay but not so reliable. And I think that the best option is 4-liter V6 engine. And I have it in 120 generation of Prado, and it's completely different story. I mean, you have enough power for almost anything you want. And also, this car can't be called fuel efficient, because the average fuel consumption that I have now is about 20 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's a huge amount. I have about the same amount and consumption on my V8 Jeep Grand Cherokee. So there is absolutely no reason in this engine. The only reason to buy such car could be a price, but if we are talking about secondary market, okay, maybe you will pay 10-15% more for V6 engine, but that would be an absolutely different car and you would enjoy it much more. And it would be suitable for all situations, because, for example, on off-road, sometimes you have just a lack of power and it influences your safety and your option to come back home. Also, with this engine, the only overtake that you can make is something like a tractor, and usually you travel with that kind of view. We made a quick stop, and I'm thinking, what can I say about this car design? I mean, I don't understand it as almost any design of Japanese cars, because especially these strange headlights in this first facelifting with kind of tears or whatever. But in general, I think that these cars here looks brilliant and very native. What really differs this car from any other SUV and most off-roaders is its suspension flexibility in case of off-road, and it's not even close to the maximum abilities of this car. For example, on such kind of road, I would go on the previous Land Cruiser, maybe with a speed of 50 or 60 kilometers per hour. But here it is a bit more than 30, and it's extremely uncomfortable even now. I mean, okay, let's try to go a little bit faster. And even on the video with stabilization, I think that you see that it's really not comfortable at all. If we are talking about off-road abilities of this Toyota Land Cruiser, they are outstanding. You simply can't find a road that could be a problem for this car. I think that the only way how you can stuck in this car is because your very special way of thinking, or otherwise you were just looking for some troubles on purpose. Yes, of course, you can find some alternative off-roaders. Something like Mitsubishi Pajero Sport or Montero Sport, maybe even Land Rover Discovery. However, just the sales results of this car and also the fact that it was in production for 14 years mean that there are no real competitors for this car, at least almost no competitors. Just imagine that Toyota sells 400,000 Land Cruisers around the world in 170 countries. And let's be honest with this fact, for any serious expedition you would prefer any kind of Toyota Land Cruiser to any model of the Land Rover. Even I would, being a great fan of the British brand. Land Cruisers are just extremely reliable. I can say it based on the personal experience of owning a car for 17 years and more than 300,000 kilometers, without absolutely any problems, only regular maintenance. And also I can support my personal experience with, for example, Consumer Report, as they say that this car is one of the most reliable cars in the world. I spent 2 days with this car, and to be honest, I have a very strange feeling, because first of all, I was very excited about handling of this car, especially when you are going on something like mountain roads. However, I was really disappointed with the light off-road experience. The suspension is very hard and it is extremely uncomfortable. Maybe the air suspension in the better equipped car would be a big benefit. However, I'm really tired after this trip, and it was only 2 days and 500 kilometers, which is quite a short trip. And of course I was always stressed because the lack of power. 160 horsepower is just enough for such a car. So, as an expedition car, I would probably prefer a previous generation with 4-liter V6 engine. As a daily car, probably another car, and probably not a Toyota.